Good morning. Welcome or welcome back. Atisha here, back for another chapter read of Helga Zeiner's section 132, A Child Bride Forced into Polygamy. Do me a favor and hit the like button as we jump into chapter 5. I will try and stay on camera as long as my signal is okay. So far, so good. The faded quilt had 2,856 octagons. Its width consisted of 42 and the length of 68 different colored patches. 680 of them are white or had been white a long time ago. 796 were different shades of blue. 232 were red, pink, or purple. 112 were yellowish and the remaining 1036 had multicolored patterns. It had taken Martha 2 days to figure it out and keep the numbers in her head next to all the others she had remembered, because you guys remember she got married and then they shipped her off to this bedroom where she's waiting for this disgusting man to come in, and she can't get out until they consummate, it seems. The fir trees in front of the house had been easy to count. There were only 27. Same with the gray tiles in the bathroom, 48 on the floor, 12 behind the wash bin. The wide wooden planks on the bedroom floor, 52, and the dresser drawers, 5. More complicated were the cracks in the ceiling. Should she count them all or just stick to the major cracks and not bother with the spidery veins branching off of them? 2 full days of endless waiting. Every time she had stared at the ceiling, she got confused, then angry, and then terrified. Nobody would let her out of this room until she knew how many cracks the ceiling had, or until she could count time. But that was nearly impossible. The only reference point she had were the moments when a meal was brought by a silent sister wife. How many seconds lay between the breakfast bowl and the lunch bowl? Too often, she lost her concentration and started to count the ceiling cracks before she reminded herself what needed to be done. The time counting was very important, and she just could not get it right. Got distracted so often by useless thoughts of loathing or self pity. Finally, on the third day of waiting, the meal was brought by Anna again. Martha was instantly excited. She wanted to talk to her, but could not get a single word out of her parched throat. Anna put the breakfast bowl in Martha's hand, sat down next to her, and patted the quilt where Martha's left thigh was. It's all right, I understand. You don't have to say anything. I'm sorry I couldn't come sooner, and I don't have much time now, but you won't have to stay in here much longer. Our husband had to go to Kamloops for a few days. That's why he didn't see you. That's the delay. Then, then, then why do why do I have to wait in here? Martha croaked, barely audible. The lack of use had made her vocal cords raspy. "W- w- Why can't I be why can't I be outside with the other wives?" Because he wants it so. He wants you to be perfectly ready when he has time for you. What kind of crap is that? I'm going to have you in isolation, much like how you are when you're in a jail cell. And you can't leave this room only because when I'm ready to come to you, I want you to be perfect. What do you think is going to happen to her between now and then? Mm-mm-mm. He wants you to be perfectly ready when he has time for you. Time to do what? Anna's face clouded over. Come now. I don't have to tell you. You need to be with child quickly, whatever that meant. At this particular moment, Martha didn't care. She didn't want to get with child now. She wanted to get out of this room. She was too engrossed in her own misery to notice the shadow clouding Anna's expression. Her saliva slowly started to flow again, and she swallowed hard. Why didn't you come like you said you would? I have waited so many days and nobody talks to me. I know I tried, but Marion doesn't like me. She really doesn't. I had to go with the others to the dump, although I normally never have to go. Never. She made me go, same as Emma. I have a small child, and Emma has two. We're not supposed to go. I spent 2 days at the dump. It was just awful. She took herself, she shook herself in disgust and quickly carried on explaining. Our husband decided that we must work harder with our sewing. We need to make more than he can sell. Marion said, our husband wants for us to go to the dump every day from now on. There's so much else to do, especially in the summer with the harvesting and all. So I don't understand why any of us should go at all. And I don't believe our husband meant for us mothers with young children to go there. I think Marion makes it up to punish some of us. Can you imagine? She made me go. I had to leave my child alone all day because the others were busy in the field. If we don't pick the apples now, they will drop to the ground and be soiled. And if we don't get the hay in soon, the cows and sheep will not make it through the winter. I don't know what she's thinking, and I hate it so much there. Suddenly, her voice quivered and faded. Tears filled her eyes, and she rubbed them away with the back of her hands. Martha could see how dirty Anna's fingernails were. She put one hand on the other woman's arm. She found no words to console her. Oh, it's just so horrible, horrible. The stink of it. It's so disgusting. I can't get rid of the smell. Don't tell me you can't smell it on me. Now that she pointed it out, Martha got a sweetish whiff in her nose, like the aroma of rotting bananas. Not really, she assured Anna. It's not bad at all, really. It is. It hangs in my dress and my hair, and we have so little time to clean ourselves. The dump always smells bad, but the stench is much worse in the summer. But but why do you have to go there? We look for clothes other people throw away. Why? Anna looked at her stupefied, as if it was the most natural thing in the world to go collect clothes from a dump. Well, what do you think? Because we make our dresses out of it and things like this quilt that keeps you warm. Every evening, all sister wives and daughters meet in the community hall and we sing and pray and make things out of old clothes. You have no idea what people throw away. We salvage some other things too, anything that can be useful. Most of the furniture in our huts is from the dump. The boys restore it for us. She suddenly stopped, hit by the absurdity of the activity she just described. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anything. She added feebly, more to herself. Martha's eyes widened in horror. They had worked hard at her father's compound too, but the dump? From the dump, she said. Anna nodded. But so far, I never had to go. I just helped to make things out of what the others collected. And all of a sudden, Marion made me go. I spent the last 2 days there. 2 days, all day long. The four of us were not even allowed to climb out of the trench for our meals. We had to eat oh goodness, our ration there. I couldn't get anything down in 2 days. We were only allowed home after dark when we were picked up by our husband's eldest son. And then we had to clean ourselves and assemble in the hall to start sorting out what we brought home. So he's had them out there all day, or should I say, she's had them out there all day to do this work, to find these things, to then come home and work some more. Ugh. Mm-mm-mm. You think you are hard done by, but I tell you, it's nothing compared to what I had to suffer. I wouldn't do it. Anna meant to laugh, but the sound that was meant to placate and maybe ridicule Martha's misguided comment exploded out of her throat like an accusation. Her hand flew to her mouth to stop her hysteric reaction. Sure, you would, and you will, if Marion demands it. I pray this will go away, just like many of the other crazy things that she makes us do, pretending they were our husband's order, because none of us can stand it much longer. Catherine is already gone over the edge, but that was to be expected anyway. Martha was glad the conversation changed course. She didn't want to think about her future, not as long as her options were only slowly to lose her mind in this tiny room or to crawl over heaps of stinking garbage. What about Catherine? Oh, since her daughter has gone, she has not been herself. She used to teach the little ones, but now that she has gone mad with grief, she is no use for that. And Marion has to find another one to take over from Catherine. I should think I should thank her for losing her mind. Marion is trying out all the sister wives one after the other to find the best one to take over from teacher Catherine. It's my turn tomorrow, and for the next few days, I'll look after the school. So one of the other wives will have to go to the dump. Anna thought of something and giggled. Maybe Marion will let me stay home now in case our husband doesn't like you. I'm his favorite. And if he wants me and I smell so bad, he will blame her for it. She knows that. I bet that's why he wants me to stay away from the dump. Um, I think that listening to the way Anna is talking and the fact that she says she's one of his favorites, that already lets me know that she's much younger and she doesn't look stretched and all those other things that he said in the previous chapter, that she still maintained her slim figure, because that's what he wants. So that's what I'm thinking when I'm hearing this. I need to smell good for our husband, but don't fret. I'm sure he only wants you right now. And when he is done with you and got you with child, it will be my turn again. She leaned even closer to Martha, confiding a secret that must not be heard beyond the walls. Don't worry, it's only you or me, only the two of us who have to share him. He doesn't want the others. Oh my goodness. So is it only you two because he's a perv and he only wants little girls? Oh, the first three who came with him from America, Marion and Elizabeth and Barbara, remind him too much of his old life. Back where he is from, he was a very powerful man with a great future ahead of him. And he gets so sad when he's with them that he doesn't want to touch them anymore. He told me that. And the others, Catherine and her 7 sister wives from Alberta, were forced on him. They have never been to his liking anyway. He would have never picked them himself. Never. They're all they are all old, way too old. None of them is under 20. Oh my goodness. They're old because they're not under 20, which confirms she's a young girl. Oh my goodness. That leaves only me and Emma. But Emma was a mistake. He said she is just skin and bones. That's why you are here now. But don't worry, I won't begrudge you his attention. You are so young. You will be pregnant quickly, and then it's me again. Of course, the others always nag at Marion to let them visit him, saying he must resume his duty with them, but he never will. I know that for sure. She took a deep breath and was finally quiet. Martha was totally confused. She had learned a lot about her new family in the last 5 minutes, especially about the all important hierarchy among the sister wives. Yet, she still didn't know why she had to wait and hear and what would happen to her after her husband had come to see her. Because they still don't tell these girls what's going to happen. They don't know what sex is. They don't know any of that thing. It's so sad. She wished he finally would, but then again, if this only meant she would leave the room and join her sister wives scavenging in the garbage dump, she might be better off in here. When will he be back? She asked timidly. Tonight. But if he is very late, you might have to wait until tomorrow for your big moment. In the evening, Anna came again, telling her that their husband was indeed delayed with some important business meetings and would come back the next day. Just one more day of waiting. Martha felt much better knowing what to expect. At least she would be able to go to sleep without any guilt if she was allowed to. She said so to Anna, but Anna told her not to worry about it. The staying awake and waiting rule was just another one of Marion's orders that didn't make any sense. She always demanded things that made the other wives uncomfortable or belittled them in the eyes of their husband. Marion is the first wife, and she likes to feel important, Anna explained. She likes to control the favors and the punishments given. That made Martha feel better. Can I leave this room once he has been here? Maybe, not right away. Maybe you have to stay here until they are sure that you'll be with child. I was with child very quickly. My bleeding did not come once after my wedding, so I was able to move to my own house as soon as my expected time had passed and did not have to stay here with Marion any longer. Martha knew about the sign of the blood women shed at monthly intervals, that a husband must be found as soon as a girl became a woman, and that the blood dried out once she became pregnant. That is the sign, her mother had told her. To start bleeding is the sign that you are a woman, and when it stops, it is the sign that you will have a child. She wanted to ask Anna about the house she was allowed to live in, but Anna, getting nervous about spending too much time with Martha, refused to explain any more and quickly left. Martha's heart was lighter now, but soon after Anna had left the room, it felt as heavy as a brick again, so heavy that she could barely breathe. The next day, Anna came twice and chatted with Martha as long as she dared. That was like a miracle to Martha, like a very special gift for which she could be thankful all her life, even though Anna wasn't overly friendly toward her. Martha could understand why her sister wife kept her distance. They would be competing for their husband's attention, so they could never really be close. But Anna was her only connection to the outside world, and her cheerful, though detached chatter made Martha see her own situation in a slightly brighter light. On the evening of her fourth day of confinement, the routine changed. Marion came herself and brought the dinner bowl and a glass of milk. Martha was immediately alert, and in her confusion, she jumped off the bed and said something very silly. It's 2,856 patches. I counted them all. Marion lifted her eyebrows, looking like an owl with her round yellow glasses perched on her small nose. She ignored Martha's remark, put the tray on the dresser, took the bowl, and sat down beside Martha. Here, eat this. Martha sat down and did as she was told. Then Marion handed her the glass of milk. Drink. The milk smelled as if it had gone sour, but it looked all right, and Martha swallowed it without hesitation. She would have drunk it even if it had been off. Marion's presence terrified her. The milk left a bitter aftertaste in her mouth. It reminded her of the herbal medicine her mother had administered every time a child had been sick. That tasted horrible too, but it worked really well. Martha handed the empty glass back to Marion without looking at her. She stared at the wooden planks, helpless to stop counting. 5, 6, 7 planks, the tip of Marion's shoes peeping out underneath her bulky dress. 8, 9. Then Marion got up and ruined the count. Now she would have to start all over again. Our husband will come see you tonight. A surge of excitement flooded through Martha. Yes, finally. She jumped up again and nearly embraced the woman standing next to her. Marion stared down at her, probably thinking how impertinent her impulsive gesture was. Martha dropped her raised arms. Do not get excited. You must stay calm. I will now tell you what you have to do. Martha's head bobbed up and down. Yes, of course, she needed to know what to do. Sit down, ordered the older woman. Take your nightdress off. Martha had been wearing this bulky piece of cotton twill day and night and could not be happier to get rid of the monstrous garment, but she had nothing else to wear. Don't worry, you will get a new dress tomorrow. Now take it off and get under the cover. Martha's heart was beating as fast as a woodpecker hammering into a tree. She took a few short, deep breaths, trying to calm herself. Quickly, she slipped under the quilt with its 2,856 patches. Although this time no numbers popped up in her mind, pulled it up to her shoulders, and started to wiggle out of her nightdress. When she had managed to slip it over her head, Marion held out her hand and took it from her. For a split second, Martha's shoulders were exposed, and she grabbed the quilt with both hands and lifted it up to her chin to cover herself. Marion made her owl face again. Do not be ashamed. That is how the Lord wants us to be. Always think of the scripture. You can do no wrong if you do what your husband demands. Remember the teaching, they shall be gods. Martha remembered the written holy text the girls had to repeat aloud so many times in scripture class. She fell in with Marion and both recited together. Because they are above all, because all things are subject unto them. They shall be gods because they have all the power, and the angels are subject unto them. When they had finished, Marion left the room, only to return a few minutes later with a candlestick for 6 candles. This night, Martha would have light. Marion placed the candlestick on the dresser and lit the candles. After our husband has seen you, you will remain in here until I allow you to leave. It may be that he wants to see you a few nights in a row. You must always be prepared. Martha lay perfectly still under the quilt and watched the flickering shadows on the wall. When he decides that he has fulfilled his duty to the Lord, you will be allowed to join your sister wives. There is much work to be done here. We need every hand, and I hope you will be a help to the weaker ones who have no strength left for the hard work that the Lord places upon us. Martha quickly nodded, indicating her willingness to the older women. You will then be moved to one of the huts, which shall be your new home. When the time comes, I will explain the rules of our lives in detail. But one thing you may ponder already while you wait for our husband to arrive is this: he expects total obedience, and he wants you to serve him with a smile. Keep sweet is what he expects from all of us. You will not question his decisions, not even quietly to yourself. He is our master, and we will respect his word. Our master. I wish I would. Okay. Mm. You will not speak to your sister wives about any of his decisions. You will simply adhere to them. Is that understood? Martha nodded again. Of course she would obey him. He was her husband, wasn't he? Why did Marion feel the need to preach about this? Because Marion knows he does some questionable things more than likely. Mary turned away from her and left without another word. Darkness settled in front of the bedroom window. By now, Martha was unaccustomed to having light in her room and kept staring at the flames. She was so excited. Tonight, she would be able to stay awake until finally, her husband would come and save her from this horrible prison. Little does she know that what she may experience with this man may be even worse. I hope it's not, but the fact that she's a little girl and this is yeah, it bothers me. But this is what really happened. Surely Anna was right, and it was only Marion who made up such strange rules. She would tell her husband about it and would make sure the others did not have to suffer under Marion any longer. Girl, it's not Marion making up the rules, it's your husband. No matter how often she told herself to stay alert, she just couldn't. Her whole body felt heavier and heavier, and she had to really fight to stay awake. It was so warm under the covers. Not wearing a nightdress made her skin feel flushed. Her whole body was warm. Her limbs were so heavy and her muscles relaxed until they were unable to move. Should she get out of bed to cool down and stay awake? She tried, but she could not. Her body refused to react to her command. She felt so sleepy, so tired, and so heavy she couldn't lift an arm or a leg, couldn't move an inch, didn't want to move. What would she do outside this bed? It was cold there, and she had no clothes to cover herself. Her eyelids started to droop, and her breath became difficult. Dear Lord, what's wrong with her? She had to burp to relieve some of the pressure in her chest and smelled the same disgusting sour odor the milk had. Um I like why every time she drink this milk does something happen? I'm wondering if they're putting something in it or if it's just bad milk, but we'll see. If she could only close her eyes for 1 minute, take a deep breath, she would be able to gather enough strength to stay awake. The candles were half burned when the door opened. Heavy with sleep and only semi conscious, Martha registered that her husband entered the room. Part of her wanted to wake up and welcome him and tell him about Marion and all the injustice she had suffered, and the loneliness and the boredom. But the other part wanted to drift deeper into sleep and wanted him to go away. She was unable to move. All power had gone out of her muscles. Even worse, her mind was just paralyzed. She, who normally always had millions of questions twirling like glowworms in her brain, couldn't think of anything. She wanted to open her eyes fully and look at her husband and tell him what she had gone through, but neither her eyelids nor her tongue reacted the way they were supposed to. I really think that this girl was drugged. Let me keep going. Y'all tell me, what do you think? Do you think she was drugged? Because something ain't right here. She could barely make out her husband's wide frame at the end of the bed when he took the quilt into his hands and slowly pulled it off her naked body. She tried to cover herself again. She tried to beg him not to look at her. Didn't he see that she was without clothes? But only a crackling sound came out of her throat. He took notice of her. Powerless to lift herself up and reach for the quilt that was now bunched around her ankles, she could only squirm. Her hands tried to hide her private parts. Don't, he commanded her. Don't move. And she did not. She could not. Could only squeeze her eyes shut in shame so she would not have to look at the big man who inspected her as if she was a broken machine that he was going to fix. Look at me, he commanded again. And she did lift her lashes enough to show him her obedience, but she refused to see him. He remained motionless at the end of the bed and stared at her for so long that her burning body turned into ice and began to shiver. Even with her eyes nearly closed and her body frozen in fear, could she feel his greedy examination. Finally, she heard him move around the bed and felt his weight settling next to her. She could not escape the draft of his heavy, labored breathing gliding over her cold skin, nor his probing hands, which started to work on the Martha machine. Rough hands moved between her legs and pressed her thighs so unnaturally wide apart that it hurt her hips. She wanted to scream and make him stop, but knew she must not. He was a god, and she was nothing. He had every right to do whatever he wanted. What, like the fact that this is what they, he could hurt her, tear her apart, even kill her if he did not consider her worthy enough to follow him into his celestial kingdom. She was his to do as he pleased. No crying, no fighting back. Even when he lowered his weight on her, pressing her into the mattress and wiggled around on top of her until he had pried her open even more. The pain was numb and detached. Her mind refused to believe what he was doing to her. It was too shameful. His pushing and shoving inside her intensified to a point where it penetrated her denial and forced her to scream out against the pain that grew and grew inside her. The pain did not subside after his sweat drenched body suddenly went limp, covering her like a wet blanket. A wave of nausea rolled over her. She could not breathe. She was buried alive, couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't retch. Slowly, he rolled off of her. Her desperate gasp for air turned into gagging. She barely managed to turn her body away from him and hang her head over the edge of the mattress before a gush of vomit spewed on the floor. She has just been violated. He didn't even take his time with her. He graped her, and more than likely, now that she's vomited, he's going to be pissed that she vomited, even though he assaulted her in this manner, even though, let's remember, she's a little girl. With amazing speed, he jumped off the bed, Oh, for heaven's sake, how disgusting, he said, shaking his head and pulling up his trousers. Long after he left, she remained lying on her side, retching and gasping and crying all at once. Eventually, there was nothing left in her stomach or in her heart or her mind, and the pain between her legs began to dominate her. She rolled over on her other side, away from the stinky mess she had produced, and curled into a fetal position with her arms clasped around her knees and rocked her body to soothe the pain so she could forget what had happened. The bishop settled at his desk. He was quite pleased with himself. It had gone really well. Even the girl's disgusting lack of self control at the end didn't diminish his satisfaction. The girl was so delicate. None of his other wives were built like that. He had made the most of those exquisite moments before he had taken possession of her. There was nothing comparable to the pleasure of studying a helpless little thing like that, squirming in discomfort and shame. Nice, really nice. He's sick. Pity it wouldn't be quite like that next time. It would still be good, of course, many times after the first time, but not quite like that. She would get used to him looking over her, maybe even try and offer herself in an adult, shameless manner. The time he would have to devour her with his eyes would get shorter, and the time he needed to satisfy himself physically would get longer because of it. Sometimes he thought he should not touch a young girl at all. He should just look at her tiny frame, the flat chest, the slender boyish hips, the skinny arms and legs, all of her body without a hint of womanly bulges she would develop all too soon. He is really like, he is a perv of a perv of a perv. He should just look at her until he came all by himself, or maybe just with the help of her inexperienced little hands. But that must never be. He was the bishop. It was his duty to create soldiers for the Lord. He could not afford to waste his seed. There was a knock at the door. Knowing it would be his first wife as usual, spoiling his afterglow mood, he sighed regretfully and called out for her to come in. Marion opened the door just a crack and stuck her head through. My husband, forgive me. He leaned back in his chair, folding his arms over his belly. Marion, what is it now? She came into the room and closed the door. It's just, I need your advice. As usual, he smiled benevolently. What would they all do without me? I'm not sure what to do next. The hay has to be brought in soon, and we need all the hands in the field. So, before the women have to be at the dump every day. So, she looked at the worn patches on the carpet in front of his desk, where she had stood many times pleading with him. Slowly, she came closer. We need everybody's help now before the weather turns. Can I stop sending them to the dump, please? At least until the hay is in? The bishop parted his belly with one hand. My dear Marion, how often do I have to explain to you that we need money? Do you think it grows on trees? How often do I have to explain that we have to step up our production? The women need enough material to produce their quilts. They can't make those pretty handcraft things the city people go crazy over out of thin air. Haven't I explained to you what our dear friend down in Arizona have done? Did you see any money coming into my account this month? No, you didn't. So, what do you suggest we live on? This goes to show you that they blame Marion for a lot of things that isn't on her. It is indeed the so called bishop that does this. I know, but the hay, the hay, the hay. I've got bigger worries than that. Do I have to justify my orders to my own wife? Marion, Marion, when will you learn? Just do as you're told, and all will be well. I want to see your sister wives at the table every evening sewing and embroidering until their fingers can't hold the needles anymore. Is that clear? Even with four of them at the dump, you have enough of the others at your disposal for your silly haying. They just have to work a bit harder. I want to take a truckload full of stuff to the shop next time I go to the camp looms. Understood? So do as you're told and stop bothering me with minor details. Hey, please, now off you go and assign the women to their jobs. See how much I trust you? I leave it all for you to arrange. I only wish you would extend the same courtesy to me, your husband, and stop pestering me. Now go. He waved her away. At the door, Marion looked back, defeated and worn out. My husband. What now? The new girl, Martha. Can I put her in Anna's hut? He smiled. No, I'm not done with her yet. Wow, that was a heavy chapter. That was a heavy chapter. And unfortunately, even though we know that this is a story based on true stories, I could picture that poor little girl and I could feel her fear in that moment. And it's just, she's going to continue to be assaulted over and over again until he's done with her. And the fact that he is in this room remembering and talking about how her body is like a little boy's and he loves that, and how she doesn't have hips and all these other, like, come on, come on. It's just gross. Anyways, let me know what you thought about this chapter. Like the video as it helps. Trying to get, into a new algorithm. I see people are I'm getting a lot of new comments on the Becoming Sister Wives book. And oh, for those of you who have asked, yes, I plan on reading Christine's book. I already pre-ordered it off of Amazon. So when it comes, we'll get started on it. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Until next time, say it with me now.